Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hanratty'S Huddle. Happy to have you along. I'm Rob Adams. I'm with Terry Hanratty and Dave Torromeo. And Dave, maybe I'll start with you. You want to take the lead here?
I'll share this with you, Rob. I mean, Dateline, Irving, Texas, of all places, January 15, 2025. The National Football Foundation, my former employer, NFF, and College Hall of Fame, announced today the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame class during College Football Live on ESPN2. And in this class,
Who?
we have Mr. Terry Hanratty. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's something I've been nominated several times in the past. And the first couple of times, I'll admit, I was upset I didn't get in because you sort of look around and you try to compare yourself to the other quarterbacks who got into the Hall. And then after a while, I sort of put it aside because I started thinking, football is so different from any sport. If you get into the Hall of Fame in baseball, if you're a pitcher, it's your ERA. If you're a hitter, it's the home runs, it's the RBIs, it's the whatever, it's all these individual stats. But there's no way that you could put a statistic on a quarterback totally.
Right.
Because if anybody, those five guys up front screw up, you go down. Or if they give you that extra 2 seconds where you could throw the ball and look great. So if it wasn't for those guys and guys making great catches and running in, the defense getting you the ball, it's just such a team sport. It's humbling. And I know a buddy of mine who was our center at Notre Dame, George Gedeke, played for the Denver Broncos for years. He called me yesterday to congratulate me, and I told him, I said, George, you're a piece of this. You're in this also with me, because he was. I mean, he was a great lineman, and he protected me to enable me to throw the ball down the field.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, first of all, statistics can lie. And when you can't compare. I mean, some of the people who've gotten into the Hall of Fame after you were playing in a totally different offense.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, look at these numbers. Well, you didn't play that kind of offense. A, okay, and B, I told you this. When we first met, and we talked about this. What held you out, what held them back from you, wasn't you. It was Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has more Hall of Famers than any other school. Right, so all the other schools go, oh, you're going to put in another Notre Dame guy, huh? And B, the position you played at quarterback, because obviously there's probably more quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame than any other position. So you were your own worst enemy. It's your fault.
It's all my fault. It's my mother's fault.
Okay, it's your mother's
fault. It really is. I mean, it's Mr. Fling's fault. Part of Fling and Cling, as they were called. So,
right, Fling and Cling.
I'm so happy. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead. Take it away.
No, I was just gonna say I sent you the thing and I said maybe we should share reading this, but I'm not gonna read the whole thing. But Terry Hanratty, University of Notre Dame quarterback, 1966 to 68. Terry Hanratty set the standard as a precision quarterback in the 1960s, helping usher in an era of high-powered passing under Hall of Fame coach Jerry Parsegian, and cementing his legacy as one of Notre Dame's all-time greats. The Butler, Pennsylvania native now becomes the 50th Fighting Irish player to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. So, consensus first-team All-American 1968, led Notre Dame to a 24-4-2 record during his 3 years in South Bend. And that goes on. And we'll try to post this somehow if we can. Obviously, the bio, if you go to the, just Google it, but you can find under the National Football homepage the current class of inductees. And again, it's well deserved. Congratulations, and we're so happy.
No, thank you. It's something that I'm very proud of, and it's it really hasn't hit me, because I think so much, and not only the teammates, but the teammates that I had are dead now. I mean, it's been a long time since 50 some years since I played, and so a lot of these guys have passed on, and you can't call them you can't wait for a call from them to congratulate you because they're not around. Yeah. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah. I will tell you, Terry, I was on the air doing my radio show when I started reading the ESPN piece, and I was completely bowled over by it. Thankfully, we had a commercial break so I could do a little more confirming. Then went and told my son, and his reaction, and you know Sean, you've met him, his reaction was, well, it's about bleeping time. So
I'm glad you put the bleeping in there.
Me too.
This is a family podcast.
That's right. So
I didn't find out. I went in. A friend of mine was in the hospital in New York, so I took the train in, saw him, brought him lunch, and come back out, and all of a sudden I get a call on the train from Notre Dame. Notre Dame shows up, and I knew the name that was there, and I can't. You're on a train, you don't want to have a conversation,
Right?
So I had to wait till I get back to the parking lot after the ride back, and then to call to find out.
Incredible. I'm overwhelmed for you. So congratulations from Sean, me, and I think from I've talked to a lot of people about it. So pretty exciting.
Well, I heard from Joe Casper, who
Joe's been very good. Yes, Joe's
very
our
loyal,
man.
very loyal listener to this podcast, and a great Notre Dame fan.
Yep.
He sent me a nice note, and I appreciate that, Joe. And I really didn't have anything to do with it. I just, we made some calls. I don't know if it had any effect or not. We had Mr. Bradshaw, and he couldn't believe it. When we told Terry that Terry wasn't in the Hall of Fame. So I think there was I think and we did have a good friend, in Archie Manning. You told me you heard from Archie.
Archie sent me a nice text. Yes.
Yeah. So
very good.
That's great, and I tell you what, selfishly, and I am a selfish bastard. This is great for this podcast and for us as a group to as we move this forward.
Well, let's move it forward. That's what we got to do,
baby.
All right,
Terry, you did your job. You got in the Hall of Fame, and
all right, I can leave now.
So Rob, I called Terry yesterday to congratulate him, and of course she doesn't pick up. So I'm like, oh, I see.
A lot of people I talked to.
So, he's like, you're blowing me up. But he calls me back, and I said, all right, well, I haven't been to that dinner since I worked there at the Waldorf Astoria, great dinner, blah blah blah. He says to me, it's in Vegas. I'm like, oh,
it's funny because the Hall of Fame's in Atlanta. They always had the dinners in New York. And now I just found out myself. I didn't know that either. That it's going to be next December. They're having dinner in Las Vegas.
Where he says where?
I'm not paying for anybody's airfare.
I think I'll watch that one on TV.
If I could afford it, that's a conversation for another time. But
maybe we should get up. Maybe we should get a group together and just have a men's weekend out there. And although they do it on a Tuesday night, I think still, don't they? I think it's Tuesday.
Whatever the ninth is. I haven't even looked.
Hey, a Tuesday night, that means it'll be cheaper to stay out there.
Well, that's true.
All right. We do sports. We talk sports, and we're thrilled for Terry and obviously send our love and congratulations. But we've got a national championship game coming up, and there might be Notre Dame involved in that, as I recall.
Yeah, it's good timing.
And we had, as we were talking off the air, a terrible weekend of NFL football, quite honestly. Oh. Terry, let me start there. What do we do with the Steelers?
Boy, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of remedies, that's for sure.
Sure. And I'm not one of them.
Really, there are so many things. I think you have to start with the offensive line coach. I don't even know who it is. I'm just watching the play of that group. And I watched the play of other teams. Their quarterback with protection, 3, sometimes 4 seconds to throw the ball. And our guys have no time to throw the ball. So I think you really have to start there. I think we've been preaching for years now that you have to start, when you're building a team, you start with the offensive line. Well, I don't know if these guys are any good. I really don't. Because I don't think I've seen them in a really good position that their coach should put them in. So I think we should start there and find out what's going on with the scheming of the offensive line. That's the number one thing. And I think they almost have to have an outside source to come and look at and appraise what's going on there. Because that's where everything you build there and you start and you keep it going there. I mean, that's the way it is. But they just look so lackluster. And I think the defense, their scheming also is not great. I mean, they're just being gashed by these running backs. Yes, they're good, but they never gashed us in the past. And we played against some damn good running backs in the past. And it's just, the whole team right now is in such flux that I think you really have to take a step back and say, okay, we can't stop anybody. We can't move the ball. It's our interior line both the offense and defense, we have to fix it right there. Is it the coaching staff? Get a third person into it to get a different opinion. Because, you can get rid of quarterbacks, you can get rid of coaches, you can get rid of this guy. But, are you really solving your problem? Do you know exactly what your problem is? And I think it's the two lines, the defense and the offensive line.
So I'm fine personally with Mike Tomlin coming back. The Steelers don't fire coaches, first of all. As you and I both know, they don't fire coaches. I'm fine with bringing them back. It is concerning that they've gone this long without a playoff win, though.
I'm shocked that it's been this long. It
Yeah,
really
me too.
is.
Me too.
And, they're putting so much on this. We've gone, 18 years now with not a losing season. But who wants to be 500?
Right.
You get blown out in the first playoff game, and everybody's going home. So you have to really. That's a lot of time to be in that position. You should have corrected it by now. You should have taken that next step back. Yes, it's good that you're not falling into the dregs of the first pick in the draft, but when you're doing this 500, it's built from there also.
Right.
Right.
No,
That's how teams get built, is by being really bad and then getting high level picks and then rebuilding. Look at Washington. Washington was terrible.
That's true.
They get Jay. They're a completely different team. Other than their dopey owner finally selling.
And you see the time that the quarterback has to throw the ball for Washington.
Yeah, but he moves well too.
He moves around, and you're always leery of that guy running on you. So you're a little more cautious in your pass rush. But they still have a lot of time to throw the ball for and we don't have it in Pittsburgh. We don't have time.
Well, and I was thinking about Pittsburgh and because Baltimore's really good. I was thinking to myself, maybe they just don't match up well with Baltimore, but they beat Baltimore once this year, didn't they?
They did.
We beat them the first time, yeah.
And so it's got to be a combination of, listen, they were banged up, and Baltimore's just on a roll now. And I personally think Baltimore goes into Buffalo and wins that game.
I'm hoping not, but I think you might be right. If you look at Baltimore right now, I don't think there's a team playing better than they are.
Right.
The quarterback there is a sick person. He just gets back there, and if he doesn't, you hope he throws the ball.
That play,
because when he starts running around back there, it's crazy, and he is such a headache to try to defend. The kid is a great football player.
He's just amazing.
He really is.
Before the half, when this is what every quarterback in the world, and everybody's yelling, even his own coaches and players, throw it away. He gets back, 11 seconds left, no timeouts, right, before the half the other day. And he gets back, and he's got pressure, and he dances back, and then he dances up. And it's like, just throw it away, because they didn't have a timeout. And then he dumps it off touchdown. I don't know many quarterbacks who could have done that, really.
No, there aren't many.
Yeah.
There aren't many. In fact, I can't think of one right now.
No. And anything else from the NFL weekend stick out to you guys? For me, it's the Washington game, but that's about it. Everything else was just bad.
Bad.
Yeah, it's sad, but it was. And the college has been so great.
Yeah.
College has been good, thank God.
And the pros have been so bad. It's just who can tell?
Yeah, at some point that's got to come back, because it really was bad. It was like watching preseason games, and I don't know what to say. Hopefully the games get better this week, because if they're all, listen, Kansas City, Houston, you would think Houston would go in and at least give them a battle, and I hope Houston wins, frankly.
No, I think Houston will give them a game. I really do.
I do too.
And then we talked about Baltimore and Buffalo, so I'm really pulling for Detroit to come through this tournament and win the whole thing. I really am.
I think I would love to see a Detroit team win the Super Bowl. They've never never won it.
Never been to it.
Never been to it. So then it's a lot of years now. We have about 60 of them.
That's one of your original.
I hate to say that. I was in 9 and 10, and now we're up to 60.
I'm in favor of a Buffalo Detroit type of game, because neither one have won the Super Bowl. So I'd like to see someone finally win one.
And just one last thing on the NFL, and I asked Terry his opinion on this, because, Sam Darnold had such a great 14 wins, blah, blah, blah. He's going to make big money. Minnesota's rethinking maybe they'll trade J.J. McCarthy, maybe this. I mean, has anybody lost more money in two games than that guy? The Detroit game and then this playoff game against the Rams.
He has looked so good,
Oh,
and he's made your Jets look so bad
right?
for the whole season. Because the kid has been great. He was the comeback, the hands down comeback player of the year, and he was just leading them to a great preseason or season record. And those last two games, you
It's all,
wonder, wait a minute, was that Sam or did they put someone in that uniform?
no, what they did
But
was,
I mean, the granted, the pressure has been awful. I mean,
yeah,
they sacked him 7 times in that game.
nine
Was it
times,
9 times?
and a lot of the time,
But he holds on.
he's holding on to the
Yes.
ball too long, and it's almost like somebody
Two
walked.
times in a row.
Yeah,
He got caught back there, and he's waiting. And I'm saying on TV, just throw the ball
thrown
away.
Yeah, but
Buried into the ground, close to somebody. Then all of a sudden, the next play, you're saying the same
Yeah,
thing.
no,
Get rid of the ball.
he
And
was-
someone's got to take him aside and say, Sam, a lot of quarterbacks, I hate to say it, don't like to ruin their percentage completion.
stats, yeah, yeah.
So they hang on to the ball because if they throw it on the ground, that's 0 for 1.
That's
there.
true.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's the case there, but they got it for the good of the team. You got to throw it away. You can't have 3rd and 17. I mean, come on, who can do that?
Yeah, and you wonder where Darnold will wind up, and he's one of several questions you think about this offseason. Where does Darnold go? Where is Aaron Rodgers going to play? What about Russell Wilson, Justin Fields as well? Both the Steeler quarterbacks can move on. Lot of moving parts in this offseason. That'll be interesting for sure.
I think with Darnold, I think he built up enough credibility
yeah.
in the first 14 games
You
or
would
whatever
hope
it
so,
was.
yeah.
That people are going to say, okay, the protection wasn't good. He held onto the ball too long, but
It's teachable.
throwing the
That's
ball,
teachable.
that's getting him in a room and saying, look, watch what you're doing here. These two plays here, you are hurting the team.
Yeah.
You can't do that. We won't accept that. But if we can get you on this line here, then we're going to be in good shape. So I don't think I think he brought up more questions than he brought up more loss of money.
Well, the question for me would be, obviously, there were more pressure in that last game against Detroit, and then in the playoff game. Is that the problem? Is it the pressure that's too much for him? Is it because we saw it with the Jets, and when he was younger, and it was unfair, but because he is a good quarterback. But at the end of the day, when you put that kind of pressure on him, hey, win and you're champs of the division.
Yeah.
Win and this is a playoff game. He was god awful. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was.
No doubt.
Nope, no argument. I think we've got to move into the national championship because I think that matters to people who listen to this podcast, and I think it matters to you, certainly, Mr. Hanratty.
Yes, it does, very much so. I'm very concerned.
Banged up.
Ohio State is very good, and I've watched them play several times, and I don't see a weakness. If we don't get pressure on their quarterback, it's going to be a long day for our secondary. Our secondary is very good, but if you give a good quarterback 3 or 4 seconds to throw the ball, no defensive back can cover any wide receiver. And Ohio State has 3 really good wide receivers.
Yeah.
So and they got a good running game, and they've got a good defense. So there's nothing you could really point your finger to. I think a lot of people say, well, Notre Dame has to shorten the clock. They've got to possess the ball. But it's very difficult to, go 5 yards at a clip down the field and score, especially against this team. So I really think Notre Dame's got to come out and just air it out. I would go because Ohio State's thinking, okay, they've got to try to possess the ball and shorten the game on us. So so they're going to adjust to that.
Yeah.
If Notre Dame comes out and just throws the ball, I mean, they can get the ball down the field. There's no doubt. And they've got a couple good receivers, not the real burners that Ohio State has, but these kids are good. And, I think they got to really try to put the pressure on them through the air.
Dave, what do you think?
Name is really banged up.
And they got to really, I mean, we're playing with 60% of our starting offensive line. Our 2 offensive tackles are freshmen. And I said it last week against, the Penn State's got that number 11 who rushes, a great football player. And they got the other guy, I think it was 41, who comes around. And you can't expect these tackles, these young freshman tackles, who, when they become juniors or sophomores and juniors, they're going to be really good and they can handle these guys one-on-one. But it's a lot of pressure. These kids are playing in high school last year.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for them to. You got we have good tight ends, and you got to put them out there with the tackles and just give the guy a shot. That's all you need to do. You don't have to stay on him as a one-on-one blocking. Just give him a shot, disrupt them a little, then you go out in your pass pattern. We don't do that enough. We got big guys who can block well and they can catch the ball. So you got to really incorporate them into your offense, and I think that a good way to slow down that pressure and give the quarterback time to throw the ball.
A lot of people say it's Ohio State's to go win. I would like to think Marcus Freeman's got something up his sleeve.
One thing about when you get in these games like this, there's not a lot you can adjust to because you really, the old phrase, you dance with the girl you brought the
Yeah.
This is an expression.
That's the go that you brought to the dance. So.
Yeah, whatever. We know. And so, I mean, you're like Vince Lombardi. Let's use a football analogy. How's that? When he said, everybody knows we're going to run the Green Bay sweep.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you to stop it.
That's right.
I don't even tell you when I'm going to run. I'll wait from the sideline. It's up to you to stop it. So we're not going to, I don't think any team can change that much at this point. I mean, they're going to do what they do best. And it's just these little things that got to just nip their defensive ends in passing situations. I mean, that you can't let them get on an island with these young offensive tackles that we have. That's just not fair to them.
Where will you be watching
Ohio
it?
State is a 8-point favorite.
Yeah, down from 9.5.
Exactly. So that means 9.5. They missed that mark and people jumped on it.
Yep.
However, I do think, and don't get mad at me.
Still a lot of points.
I know this is the Notre Dame special, but I just don't have a good feeling for Notre Dame in this game.
Well, you didn't last week either.
Well, that's good for you then.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Consistency, Dave. All right, I know my question wasn't heard. Where are you going to be watching, Terry?
In my living room.
Beautiful.
My family room.
Very nice.
Feet up, and no chatter around. Someone asked me, to go to this game watch thing. I said, well, the last time I had someone come over to my house and watch the game, we played Northern Illinois. So we're going to scratch that out of there.
Yeah, that's.
I'm going to sneak over to his house and unhook the cable.
I'll be right there with you, Dave.
People up in Northern Illinois, they got a big investment in this game.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
If Notre Dame wins, then they can claim to be number one.
They beat the national champions.
We're number one.
That must mean we're number one.
Hope for the best and see what happens.
You can't beat Northern Illinois, so then you can't.
That's right.
We beat you and you.
That's right. Just take that thing around.
Sorry, Ralph. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm hoping for a good game. Bottom line, that's always what I look for.
That's the whole thing.
Give us a good game.
Let's keep it tight. I don't know. I mean, there's no way. I'd rather see us up by 5 touchdowns
Of course you
at halftime. So I can relax, but I know that's not going to happen. And just hope for a good game.
Yep, absolutely right. Where else do you guys want to go? I know one thing I want to quickly mention. Literally before we started taping, we learned of the passing of Bob Uecker, who, Terry, you mentioned you got to know him a little bit. You met him a couple of times. You talked with him.
Many times. In the past, we used to have these. In the off season, everybody would have these, the rubber chicken dinners, raise the money for different charities, all around the country. And a lot of guys were just on that tour. And I got on that thing and I got to know Bob, pretty well, and just a funny human being. And he played off that, 200 batting average or below 200. And he was on Carson many times. And it's sad. I mean, he was a great announcer. I think he's in the Hall of Fame for announcing. And a really good guy, just a really good guy. And he's going to be missed. 90 years old, good run, but you always miss him.
But
Seemed like a good dude.
Yeah,
just a common guy. I mean, he's just down to earth.
Exactly. Just a very down-to-earth guy, wonderful broadcaster, wonderful ambassador for the game of baseball, and funny as could be. The Major League, obviously, the movie, and Mr. Belvedere and everything else he did, Carson, as we mentioned. The appearance of him on Carson in 1971 in an outfit straight out of the 70s, where he tells the story of holding hands in the team picture with Bob Gibson, had me screaming laughing earlier. Just tremendously funny. So rest in peace and condolences to one and all.
Yeah. Well, I think we should do predictions for Monday. Terry.
Well, I'm taking my Irish. I mean,
okay.
there's no doubt. Only way I go.
Give me a score.
Give me a score. Oh, I think it's going to be high. I'm going to say 35, 31.
Okay. Robert?
I was going to let you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, you should. Well, I'm going to say Ohio State 31, and I don't think Notre Dame gets to the 35. I'm going to say 24. And I know you're
35 is probably pushing it for Notre Dame's offense, but maybe we get a couple of defensive scores.
Well, 31.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to go Ohio State, unfortunately. Figure,
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, that way I'm not jinxing. Exactly. I'll go Ohio State. I keep thinking something in the 30s as well, so I'll switch it up and say 31-17 Ohio State. They pull away late.
Close, you and I, yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we're wrong. You know what?
But I like when I see these pregame shows when all six guys are the picks and they all take Southern Cal over Notre Dame. I go, yes.
There you go.
we know we got a lock.
You're in a good spot. Call Marcus later today and say it's in the bag.
Yeah, don't even worry about it.
These two clowns took Ohio State.
Make sure you just get them to the stadium. That's all you need to do.
That's it. That's all you need to do. Anything else before we wrap this one up?
I think we're in good shape.
David?
You're in good shape with the Hall of Famer, Mr. Terry Hanratty. How about that?
I love saying that.
Thank you.
I love it. No, it's great news. Really happy. And again, profound congratulations. All right, gentlemen, that'll do it for this one. We thank you all for listening once again. And all the kind comments and the suggestions and everything we get. We've got a great audience, and we're just looking to keep building the whole thing, the audience, the participation, everything. So we look forward to it. We'll do it again next week. For Dave Torromeo and the Hall of Famer Terry Hanratty, I'm Rob Adams. Thanks for listening to Hanratty's Huddle. See you next time.